Hey dudes, how's it going? Pyroline Wafer Roll here, and welcome back to Nova's Succession and Awakening. And she's waving there at you, trying to get your attention. So, welcome to this video. I'm just gonna munch this. Alright, so Nova's Awakening and Succession. This isn't really a guide. Well, it's partially a guide, I guess. Just gonna go over like the things I kind of learned about Nova Succession and Awakening just through playthrough. I haven't had like many in-depth hour of playing it, but this is pretty much like a second impression or whatever from the first impression banked off of that. So what I want to say is that like Nova has some pretty interesting succession skills. From the cancels and the skills that I learned in pre-Awakening in the first impression video, it sort of doesn't translate to Succession. Succession had like some different mechanical changes with some of the skills, which made it really confusing. I'm gonna go over Awakening after, unless, yeah, if you want to go through Awakening, it'll be at this point in the video, and Succession starts here essentially. So just for reference, and then so like Succession itself, the mechanics of like the skill chaining and the cancels were far more complicated from when I was playing it and trying to figure it out. It was very complicated, but like it felt really rewarding too when you actually like canceled everything out. And but then again, she still has a major issue of like SP bar being like heavily dependent. So if you're grinding or have an infinite mana pot, that's a very nice bonus for Succession. Awakening doesn't really have that problem, and then the passive trees is also like a casting attack speed. So the speed of Succession doesn't feel that slow. If you actually know all the cancels or whatever, it's sort of like a medium to heading into fast like gameplay essentially. Like it did not feel slow to me like it did with Guardian, and then like Hashashin to me felt even slower because, well, I just didn't really learn the class. So but when I was playing through it from like Succession and like Awakening, I really wasn't into the Hashashin. And Nova's like Succession was also kind of clunky until I tried to learn its cancels. And you can sort of rotate a lot of stuff around, almost permanently, infinitely rotated. It's just the key inputs are very strange and very weird. I wrote them down in a notepad while I was trying this on stream, and it pretty much turned into this. So here's like a bit of a notepad document to sort of chain towards skills that you can try and work together. I didn't have the skill names; they were just more like inputs. So you just gotta match the inputs to the skill names. I unfortunately don't really know the skill names off the top of my head. So it was like what? It's back F, and then back RMB, and then forward RMB, and then left mouse button shift RMB. And that's really weird. If you try to do it slowly, it doesn't work very well. And then like at the forward R&B part, I wrote fast there is because you have to do it really fast. The thing about Succession is that the timings on some of the skill cancels are really short. And in the heat of a battle with like untrained muscle memory, it becomes really confusing. But you can get a lot of damage out when you actually get this whole combo out. And I tried this on Rift Echoes, so it wasn't on like shitter mobs that I just delete in like one skill or whatever. This was on like tanky targets, and when I was fighting tanky targets, Succession felt a lot more powerful than Awakening. Awakening, I understand, can also still destroy like tanky targets. It's just that you have to like learn the rotations of the skills to also get your Engarde really quick, and also speed up her attacks. Awakening is more of like a race chase, and Succession is more like I'm trying to make sure I don't screw up my cancels kind of thing, is what it felt like for me. As to like if this is true or not, it requires more gameplay hours for me. So this is just mostly like a brief surface of how it felt jumping into the styles of the class. So like you'll notice the first combo I wrote down here, it's back F, back RMB, and then forward RMB, LMB, shift RMB. So I do back F, back RMB, and then forward RMB. It does a shield bash, but that's not what I want. It should go immediately into like a whip shot, like where she does the second motion, where she flings the flail out and not really do that shield bash. And then if you do back F and back RMB, you skip Icy Thorns right into the shield spin, which hits really hard. Like it's Icy Thorns is a skill you're gonna max out immediately because a lot of skills cancel into this thing, and it's only on a 5-second cooldown. It's 1023 times 6 with a 75% crit rate. That is an enormous amount of damage on top of speeding up your attack speed when you use it. Your attack speed goes up by 5%, your casting speed by 10 seconds, so it's a buff as well. So it makes succession like that much more palatable. So we go like back F, back R&B, and then like forward, and then it just skips right into it. So if you finish if you press forward R&B right after back R&B before the shield spin finishes, she'll fling her flail out, and that's another cancel going straight into the second hit of the Vengeful Star. So Vengeful Star right here, it goes into the second hit damage, so it's 1230 x4. And then if you follow through with that, you can go into the final hit. And then after the final hit, you can actually cancel the final hit into Command Fianchetto. And then from Fianchetto, you can cancel that straight into Frozen Darkness. So it's like 4 big hits all stacked like back to back with that combo. So it hits extremely hard. So we go, back forward. Oh, I messed it up again. It's so weird. So it's like this, and then that, and then that. Oh, and then like LMB. LMB after all that. Like you gotta hold forward R&B after that second hit. So back. Yeah, and that's the full combo. You just use like all the strongest hitters that I have and put them all on cooldown essentially. Now, there's also the Bitter Rain. The cancel that that I went over in pre-awakening in the first impression does not work in succession. It operates very differently. If you notice between the Absolute and the Prime version, Absolute has like back LMB after certain skills to activate the second hit, whereas this one does not. It's a very strange skill. Like I matched it with Forward F. Forward F is another shield bash. The command Rhyme Ice. What is it? No, Prime Koratum's Ascension. That's what it is. So I matched it with forward F and back LMB into it, because if you do that, you also can cancel and speed up the skills slightly. One of the main things is that through Bitter Rain you can go into the Shift F, which is the prime Entangling Icy Thorns. Entangling Icy Thorns cancels into Shift Q, which is Stamma's mate. You want to do it in this order because it triggers the skills much faster than if you actually just activated it alone by itself. Like the attack speeds are practically almost doubled or something doing it this way. Just trying to get some potions here. On top of that, Forward C as well has like some cancels as well. Forward C is the Awakening skill taking over. So we got forward F, back L and B, and then Shift F, and then Shift Q. And then like you can go Shift C if you want into that as well. Shift C is like such a weird command. And then there's also the back L and B. So you can also sort of like interswitch it. You just have to look at what Nova's motions are. So if you do the back LMB, that straight shot where you just the first hit of Bitter Rain, you can cancel it straight into Shift F immediately. So she doesn't really like lift the shield up. She just swings her like shield in immediately. Also the forward C with back R&B as well. Goes straight into the last hit of Icy Thorns. Again, a very powerful initiator. You can also use that to, again, same thing. Any Icy Thorns cancel last hit can go straight into Vengeful Star, so you can go this. It's just that the key inputs is really strange on the fingers because it's like forward C and then forward C, back R&B, and then forward R&B is what the input is. Okay, and then I don't really use Fianchetto for in succession. I don't really use Fianchetto as an initiator anymore now. I use it more as a cancel or an in-between because it can be used after certain skills, as it says there, LMB after using certain skills. Whereas in Absolute version, you can only use it after Icy Fog. So you want to use this as a chaining skill, as a flow. between all your skills and try and figure out which ones let you cast Fianchetto after their attack, and then you want to chain it straight into Frozen Darkness was what I was doing, and generally usually like deleted almost everything in front of me. I never really worked out how to summon Axian in between. I'm pretty sure there's a way to, after certain skills, when you go into guard mode, or like I think back C is one of them, you go into guard mode and then you can summon Axian like right away with shift space. So that's kind of a bit of a different tech here. That's with the back C. This has to charge a little bit, but then like I don't really know how to summon Axian faster with shift space. Icy Prison also sends out Axion to do like an ice shockwave. I don't really know how to aim it, but he kind of just, that one's like a little weird. You do want to try and figure out how to summon Axion more often, because that thing I'm pretty sure hits really hard. And with Fianchetto and into the Frozen Darkness, it summons him twice on the spot, and he sort of does like a shout or whatever. But in any case though, like these were the main commands that I found to be very helpful to sort of like rotate and chain between. And then once you started getting used to certain skills that connected together, then you can start like rotating all of them essentially, and then you'll just become like a monster. And just keep going like from place to place, and as well as the movement too. Movement itself is like not as fast as Awakening, but it's not bad either. Like you can actually keep dashing and then like also cancel every now and then with forward C. The back C like charge, I don't know if there's a way to like charge this faster so that you dash forward. You do have to wait almost like a full solid second before you can charge with the back C skill. It's an iframe when you move back for a moment. But I think you can charge forward after you see the two the guards like do their little attack. That's when it's available, and that's like right there. They have to like finish their attack and then you can charge forward or something. But either way, it's kind of slow. But I feel like Succession can have more potential. Awakening is about like how fast you can keep everything in balance and juggling with the skills. So we'll just go into that next. Oh, and just one last thing before we go into that, I'll just go over the skills. So I picked up Prime Bitter Rain, obviously, Vengeful Star, both of those very useful, and Icy Thorns, very useful. The other one was back F. If you don't have enough skill points, maybe take this later, but Prime Corotorum, you end up using this quite often, and it's a very short cooldown, so definitely take that as well. It's forward F. I would put more priority into Icy Thorns and Corotum's Ascension than anything else. Frozen Earth, this thing is like really expensive, and using it is kind of odd. Like I don't really, Shift C is such a weird input, and it's pretty long cooldown, but it's a pretty strong skill, but I feel like I don't use it too often. And then Fianchetto, I don't even use this that often, but it should be like, this should have pretty high priority as well, since it's a cancel flow between skills. And then Frozen Darkness is only one level to it. You just heavy smash stuff, which is really useful. Stamina, maybe not too much, but Entangling Icy Thorns feels more important than Stamina's Mate, since this always comes after Entangling Icy Thorns. And plus this thing looks like it has better usage anyways. Super armor, attack speed slows, and I think at level 3 it's like negative 30%, which is insane. Yeah, it's negative 30%. That is so powerful, holy. This one is more or less just more damage as it goes up. Also super armor, but yeah, I think Entangling Icy Thorns is more important. Swooping Ring, definitely want to take this one because it helps with movement. So getting from pack to pack or area to area, it's part of your movement stuff. Star's Call, honestly, this thing's a little weird to use, so I don't really fully understand this yet. Otherwise, or either that maybe I do understand all of it and I didn't know that there's nothing left to discover. So this was sort of like questionable to pick up. Obviously pick up Prime Pass Pawn. This is like no choice here. Like you have to pick this up if you want your cards to actually be really strong. Icy Prison, this one's kind of like, you can work this into attacks and stuff, but honestly, I only use it to summon Axian in between. And summoning Axian is, his behaviors are a little strange, or either that I just don't understand it yet. Corotum's Guard, that's your E buff essentially. Should pick that up. Obviously, pick up the Black Morning Star for casting speed because you want to keep up your attack speeds as much as possible. This is high priority. Anything to help speed it up, since like it's already kind of medium heading into slow without those things. Bitter Rain, yeah, it's just kind of like at least pick it up just so that you have like a chain of like skills to rotate around. But again, mostly Vengeful Star, Icy Thorns, and Corotum's Ascension was what I found to be the most useful here. Fianchetto and Frozen Darkness for chaining skills together, and Swooping Ring, a big must to help with movement. So Engarde mode is pretty much Awakening. So in Awakening, Nova is extremely fast. I don't know what is up with her movement. It is out of control in my opinion, is my first impression. You can blast off to like so many different places. So the time you want to just like shift LMB to most spots, and then like if you need to really engage on something, shift LMB WF, or you can shift LMB and then back Q, or shift LMB and then F and then the forward F with another shift in between. And again, just rotate all of those, and you just, you know, you go freaking all over the place. And then the WRMB, if you're just a little lost and need like half a second of thinking room, so you know, you just, it's kind of bonkers, honestly. Like this movement is ridiculous on top of like barely draining any stamina, and I'm like, what is this nonsense? But yeah, so like for Awakening, that's a lot of like burst movement. It's pretty extreme. I would put it like at a triple S tier kind of rating. You know, super sexy sliding, and yeah, it's pretty wild. In any case though, what you want to do of importance here is actually utilizing your Engarde bar, which is the Star's Breath. You want to charge it up as much as you can. It sort of doesn't really get good until you have level 60 with Fused Gravity here to help burst that upwards. Star's Ring is what you're going to be using a lot, because you throw like 2 Star's Rings out and it generates these 2 orbs or something, right? If it hits something, it causes a vacuum, but then you want to like retrieve these and you gain like 20% of your bar. So you always want to use that like whenever you can, and just deploy these things and Fuse Gravity every 10 seconds essentially whenever you can, and just pick up your orbs wherever you go. Your Shift E can also increase that by 50% as well, which is crazy. And then when you have 100%, it's pretty much like almost like a Devil May Cry trigger kind of thing, and you go like crazy. Some of your skills get like extra effects or like a different commands, sort of like Swooping Ring, for instance. Swooping Ring, you get WQ. You can use this to activate Engarde instead of actually pressing the Engarde hotkey. You still get the same effects, except that this one starts with a lunging attack that goes on cooldown for 6 seconds. I don't know why they did this, but I would highly recommend always activating it with Swooping Ring, simply because it's an attack and it's put on cooldown, and you want to get as many of those in during the 100% Engarde time crunch, because that bar just drains down really fast. So if you do it at the beginning, you can get more Swooping Rings in on the whole 100% countdown essentially. And that's another thing. It's also an extra movement skill, and also when Engarde is on, you get like double dashes, so you get an extra like orbit and then just keep going like crazy. So it's pretty ridiculous in my opinion here. Like even if you don't like, yeah, it's just like this. It's just wild. Again, you just keep throwing. You can only throw 2 of those out at a time. So you might be like wondering like, oh, why don't I just throw like, you know, 10 of these things and then just absorb them, and then I will get like, you know, full, because the skill only allows you to throw 2 of them. It's a 2-hit damage skill, and it basically summons 1 star per attack, so you can only throw 2 out essentially. And you keep throwing them, but only 2 show up. Okay, and make sure you retrieve them all the time. You can retrieve them from like almost an infinite distance away. They will just teleport back into you essentially. So in terms of important skills, Royal Fencing, very important skill for Nova Awakening. Royal Fencing Starfall, this is like a burst. It hits really hard, also very good. Twisted Orbit, extra like, you know, distance movement when you move. Fused Gravity, super important, must get it ASAP when you can. Comet, your most used skill that pretty much every Nova will be spamming whenever it's off cooldown. Swooping Ring as well. I use this quite often, but the problem here is I don't really know how to work Frozen Ring in here. This is the one skill I unspec'd because I noticed I was barely ever using it. Fencing Lunge, again, extra movement and also like bonus damage off any other skill. It's just like a tap. It's just a love tap, okay? You're just one love tap there. Slicing ring. This is actually pretty useful when you use it with royal fencing. So you just sort of like dash yourself into a group and then you just throw this out, and it's a forward guard as well and hits everything out around you. If you throw it into a group of mobs, it charges up your on guard bar really fast. The other thing is like the amount of skill points you need is quite a lot for awakening. A lot of these skills actually help your on guard bar charge a lot faster the higher level they are. So when you max out all her skills, you can expect yourself to almost be able to upkeep this literally every minute. There should only be about like a 20 or like 30-second downtime where your on guard is off, and then like every other essentially like every minute this should be going up, and you should be you have to like rotate everything to charge it up. That's kind of like the awakening playstyle I find, is that I feel like to get full potential out of Awakening Nova is to constantly keep those bars charged up and using all my skills to charge up as fast as I can into the mobs. Now, in terms of Star's Call, this skill has like a bit of a wind up. I'm pretty sure there's a certain way to like cancel this, because sometimes when I use it, it literally feels like an eternity, and then another time it just like it comes out slightly like 5 times faster. I don't feel like I'm standing there like a statue in a pillar posing for a lifetime. So I'm thinking like if you use it after certain skills, it's probably a lot faster than if you actually just press the buttons and then charge it up. So you can also use it as a forward guard, so you can sort of gauge whether or not, once you understand the class a lot more than I do. Okay, this is a very brief gameplay period that I've only given Nova here. The forward guard could also be used to your advantage with its super slow cast too, so you know, give or take. If you're in like crazy places like Olin's, for instance, that slow cast in the beginning might actually be beneficial rather than trying to fast cancel it or speed it up or whatever. So, you know, give or take. Now, in terms of the absolute and pre-awakening skills, I actually kept Bitter Rain for cancels. Same with Absolute Vengeful Star. I kind of lost almost everything else. Koratum's Opening, obviously, for movement canceling in case I actually have to swap into it. Koratum's Ascension, I lost Command Rhyme Ice, no back F, only forward F. Everything is all forward, nothing going back. Lost Mauling Star, lost Face the Darkness, lost also got Fianchetto and Frozen Darkness. Might actually even lose Fianchetto, not really sure, depending on what's going on. But if I'm using this after Frozen Darkness in Shift RMB and then just hold RMB to cancel into Fianchetto, then that's fine. Stamma's Mate and Shift F put together, because Shift F is to swap to pre-awakening from the Sting, and then you go Shift Q cancel, because Shift F can cancel straight into Shift Q, is why I have these two skills. Everything else is like there's not enough time to rotate things back into other pre-awakening skills before awakening skills are available, so it's only a few skills. It's really just Shift F, Shift Q, and then either that it's like a sidestep and smash, Shift RMB and RMB into Fianchetto, or either that, if these are on cooldown for whatever reason, then it's Koratum's Ascension, Vengeful Star cancel, and then Bitter Rain cancel, and then a smash as well. So you can do that, and then after the smashes, you can just go back into Awakening with back Q, which is the riposte, or riposte or riposte. I don't remember how to say this word anymore. Anyways, but it's the back Q Royal Fencing. This is a swap from this is how you should technically C-swap, in my opinion, back into Awakening. So most of the time you're like, what? You're in this thing, you just like drop this on the floor, and boom, and then like that, and then just, you know, slam this, and then the Fianchetto into that, and then straight into the riposte right there. And that's sort of like a rotation straight back into it. And that's about like what, 3 or 4 seconds. The reason being with most of these pre-awakening skills is like this is like super armor, and then this goes into stiffness on the second hit, knockdown on good one. There's super armor, super armor, super armor, super armor. So really the only opening is like Vengeful and Bitter Rain, but everything else in between is like super armor. So you can just super armor chain it and just throw a few extra skills out there, feeling pretty protected, and then swap back into a riposte, which is also forward guard during the swinging attack. Okay, and that's kind of Awakening. So yeah, you can get some really wild stuff going, especially like if you tag like, you know, 100%, and then on top of that, like you go full power, And then you got like your Z buff on as well, which stacks with like the extra speed. And then if you can tag something with like bonus skill add-on speed, and then the Royal Fencing Fleck. Is this Flesh? It's Flesh. Flesh, right? And then you get that 15% casting speed for 5 seconds. Holy shit, like it just goes out of control. I moved so fast on stream while I was grinding Quality's Forest that because of how extremely fast I was moving, I literally hit a desync wall on and please try again in a moment. Okay, so that's kind of disappointing in that sense. But at the same time, that's what I mean by like her movement is like way out of control. Like I don't think it should be this high, honestly. It's kind of crazy. But you can just like fly all over the place. And then yes, all about stamina management at some point. But I honestly didn't have stamina problems when I was playing this. I just don't know what I was doing. Just sort of like on autopilot as to like how I was doing that with losing barely any stamina. But in any case, that's it for Nova's second impression. Bit of a long video. Thanks so much for keeping it up all the way here. Really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys next time. And I hope to see you again. Peace. Have a good day.